Have you ever felt trapped ever in your life for any reason? Trapped in a job, trapped in a marriage or relationship? We were born onto a prison planet. Old Earth, the patriarchal system is an entire system of enslavement. It is a system of entrapment, period, end. You chose to come here because you have to elevate yourself out of all of this. So those of you who are true spiritual warriors, mystical warriors, you came here, you have to achieve this first for yourself, and then you help everybody else achieve it too. The more you achieve energetically, the more you break free from old Earth's system of imprisonment and enslavement and all of that, being brainwashed. Like the more you as an individual understand this, why it's so important to devote your life, your path to this. Because when you break free at every level from being trapped, you help other people to break free. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori, founder and CEO of Masters of Self University, and of course of this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We have a very intricate teaching to dive into today. Have you ever felt trapped ever in your life for any reason? Trapped in a job, trapped in a marriage or relationship you couldn't get out of the abuse, trapped in abuse. You couldn't get out of your relationship because of financial reasons. Have you ever felt trapped in a family with abusive parents as a child, unable to break free and get out? Have you just ever felt trapped? You're trapped in a town, a city, a house, an apartment. You can't move out. You don't have the means to move out and upgrade and move away and, go someplace better that you would prefer. Any scenario of feeling trapped. How many people have actually felt trapped and trapped in horrific ways, horrendous ways, of course, even worse than I've described with abuse, being raped. You were trapped in that moment, being humiliated, being molested. There are terrible ways that humans experience being trapped. There are a lot of ways that we can feel trapped. And it's time to understand on a deeper level why this program exists, why it shows up in our lives, how it shows up in our lives, how it creates our reality, and also how to break free from it. This is a really deep, intricate teaching that I can't, and I say this a lot because it's the truth, I can't possibly teach you everything you need to know about this. Everything that is involved in this energetic program of being trapped, being imprisoned, being enslaved, being entrapped, somebody trapping you trapping others in things. All of this is interwoven because we were born onto a prison planet. Old Earth is the patriarchal system is an entire system of enslavement. It is a system of entrapment. Period, end. Okay. And a lot of you are waking up and have been waking up and understanding a little bit more all the time that old Earth, the system of patriarchy, is a system of enslavement. It is a prison planet. We were born into a prison planet. And a lot of you have been waking up to that a little bit more all the time. I want to break it down for you a deeper teaching when it comes to this because the micro is the macro is the micro. What we see out there is what we are creating. What is being created out there, so to speak, in the macro impacts us and influences and creates our realities. It's both, back and forth. There's an exchange there. There's a consenting to these things. And we're going to talk a deeper level of consent in this episode as well. But you can't possibly learn everything you need to learn just in a podcast episode. And I could do a series of 3 on this topic. I could do a series of 10 on this topic. Like, and this is what I mentioned before, what I was alluding to before. I give as much as I possibly can as far as wisdom and education in this podcast. It is not university level, that you're not a student at university by listening to this podcast. And I make that very clear. And I know I say it a lot, and I say it for a reason. I want you to understand you can't possibly elevate energetically to the highest levels, heal everything that I mentioned in here, and evolve into a being of oneness consciousness and be completely free from being trapped from a matrix of imprisonment if you're not attending university, if you're not mastering energetics at the way that I mention in this podcast. I can't teach you step by step in this podcast. Not possible. And I deserve to be financially, I deserve the financial gain to have students come and pay for MSU. That's oneness. So the level of wisdom and the ability that I have to teach you what can completely break you free from a system of enslavement, like, let's live in oneness and not expect people to give absolutely everything away for free. You're an old earther if you think that. And I give a tremendous amount away for free. You're welcome. I give a tremendous amount away for free. Okay. So let's elevate to higher levels, because I don't withhold from here in this podcast. The problem is I cannot teach you if you're not in school as a student. That's where I can teach you step by step. Every class is building upon the previous class every semester. And I mean weekly. And then every semester builds upon the previous semester. It's important to understand that. For those of you very low level of consciousness, you think I'm trying to sell you something right now. Fuck off is all I have to say to that. You're too low. Go away. You're not ready to learn for real. You're just not ready to evolve. That's not what I'm doing. I am literally teaching you as I say this. I'm teaching you, because if you want to go to the Olympics and earn an Olympic gold, you have a coach, you have trainers, you practice. You don't just say, let me watch it on TV once or twice, and then I'll show up to the Olympics and I'll win a fucking gold. That's not how shit works. So I'm letting you know that, because I'm not trying to sell you shit. Get the fuck out of here. It's obnoxious. I'm teaching you when I share this. If you really want to heal and elevate and break free from all this, you have to be a student of energetics at the level that we teach it at MSU. It's that simple. You just have to be willing to become a student and actually learn step by step by step and go through all the levels of raising your level of consciousness. You need to understand that to comprehend and understand what I'm going to offer you about being trapped, the energetics, the matrix of entrapment, the matrix of enslavement, because everybody's experienced being enslaved on this planet. You've been trapped on this planet. Now, you chose to come here to elevate out of this, to help elevate other people out of it. And that's what I want you to understand, the energetics of it. And again, I'll give you as much as I possibly can in a podcast. But I mean, to really break free from this and master this stuff, you got to be a student of this type of work. Okay. And learning on social media is not an actual student of this type of work. It's just, if that's all you can do for now, beautiful. Do it. Take advantage of all the free stuff you can have access to. It's there for a reason. That's why we put out so much free stuff. You get 2 podcast episodes a week from us at MSU. And you get free energy activations, 20-day ways of oneness energy. I mean, we give as much away for free as we can. So take advantage of all of that stuff from us and everybody that you can get that stuff from. When you can't afford yet to go down a certain path, get as much as you possibly can. That's why we put it out. Okay. Know that you're doing that to elevate as much as possible with the resources that you currently have. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Do it. All right. So take as much as you possibly can, what you can learn from today's episode. And also know that this doesn't even scratch the surface of what you'll learn as a university student over time. Okay. And again, I don't say that to sell you shit. And if you still think that, get the fuck out of here. You're not worth my time. That's just the truth. Sorry, but not sorry. I'm teaching you when I say that there's so much more that you're capable of. But, we have to stop being entitled and all that other crap that comes with it. We have to be willing to learn and humble ourselves and learn. So You felt trapped before. And everybody has felt this to some degree and some example of it. You sit and make a list. And I would encourage you to sit, even push pause, even if it's just for 60 seconds. I mean this very literally. Push pause on this. And for 60 seconds, write down a list real quick of times that you can remember actually feeling trapped. This is important, little exercise. So I really encourage you to do it. And then come back and listen, because those energies of being trapped were there from the beginning. And then you've created aspects of your life to trap you. And you've created it, of course, because you don't understand you're creating it, because that's the prison planet. That's a planet of enslavement where everybody's brainwashed. So to break out of it, I'm gonna break this down for you so you understand it and see it better. And then you'll understand how to start to truly, and I mean at every level, break out of this. Because like I already said, being a student, becoming a student at MSU, for example, like you have to devote your life to breaking free from all of this, y'all. So being trapped starts when you're born here. And this means that you're not a victim. You chose to come here because you have to elevate yourself out of all of this. So those of you who are true spiritual warriors, mystical warriors, you came here, you have to achieve this first for yourself, and then you help everybody else achieve it too. That's how this works. Do you understand that? The more you achieve energetically, the more you break free from old Earth's system of imprisonment and enslavement and all of that, being brainwashed. Like the more you as an individual understand this, why it's so important to devote your life, your path to this. Because when you break free at every level from being trapped, you help other people to break free. You make it easier for other people to break free. So you were born and you chose this as a soul. You had no choice. Like you choosing to come here, you had no choice. And that sounds funny. Quantum superposition. Two truths can be present at the same time. You chose to come here and achieve this in order to do it yourself so that you could help everyone else do it on the planet. That's the simplest way to put it, okay? So you can't help people on the planet for real. And anything that's worth any fucking time, if you haven't achieved this first for yourself. That's why you have to achieve it for yourself first. That's oneness, because then you can authentically help other people. Okay? So when you were born and you chose to be born into this, and then you have no choice but to be born into this. When you were born as a slave. You were born in prison. Energetically, this matrix of old Earth, that's what it is. Okay? So a literal global system of enslavement you were born into. All right. So the truth that so many beings incarnated into that old Earth, that patriarchal system of enslavement, to dismantle it. You came here to dismantle it. It doesn't change the fact that those same beings then had no choice but to be born slaves. So if I'm going to choose to go to Earth in order to create a new Earth while I'm there and be one of the beings to create a new Earth while I'm there, I have no choice but to be born onto the prison planet as a slave, and I'm born trapped into that prison planet. That's, you chose to come with no choice but to take part in that. Do you understand? Every being has to liberate themselves from that matrix in order to activate the liberation of others and teach others to do the same. Do you understand that? So, and to also understand that although a lot of people have referred to the matrix, old Earth, patriarchal system of enslavement, that prison planet, they refer to it as the matrix. The matrix is not one system of energy. You have to understand that the systems, the energetic matrices that exist, I always, when I see the energies of them, I see them in one of two ways. And it's the easiest way to describe it to others if you can't see this for yourselves. I usually say fishing nets or spider webs. There's fishing nets and spider webs energetically. These are the matrices. They are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of them on top, intermingling, connecting to, overlapping, on top of another one, on top of another one, on top of another one. And they're all interconnected in ways that you wouldn't be able to comprehend right now. Okay. Those all make up a prison planet, the planet of enslavement, that patriarchal system, all together. So there's a billion different ways to brainwash you and imprison you vibrationally, energetically, and they all work together. So the government has to be one, and the food system has to be one, and vibrationally, like the music you listen to, entertainment, what you watch on TV, the news that's fed to you, social media, feeding you, religion. Holy shit, religion is one of the biggest rulers of the old Earth matrix. If you haven't woken up to that by now, come on, you're a little behind the game. That's the biggest thing that rules the whole entire planet. And all of these layers upon layers upon layers upon layers, they're so intricate that you were born into this energetic matrix, and it's not a matrix of imprisonment, of entrapment. Is, like I said, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of matrices together, all interconnected. School systems, from all levels, all that systems of indoctrination, that's part of, that is a matrix part of the bigger matrix that are a part of thousands of matrices. Do you understand? College education, especially like the medical system, university study, especially in healthcare, quote unquote, so that it all can be big pharma and not real medicine, and et cetera. And you think you're going to university to become a physician and then go specialize and become, a surgeon or this or that, whatever. And you go in with the best of intentions thinking you're doing wonderful things by becoming a doctor, you're going to help save people. You have no idea that you're in a system, a matrix system of enslavement, where you're being brainwashed and educated in a very certain way, which is not what real medicine is. You're just being taught, big pharma medicine. You're a pharma physician. You're a pharma doctor. That's not an actual physician. And that isn't a blame or judgment. That's the system. Do you understand? Okay. So because everybody listening right now and hearing my voice, you were born onto old Earth, which means you were born into a prison system. You were born into an energetic matrix of imprisonment, of entrapment. You were entrapped. You were trapped. You would then, because this is how energy works, this is why you have to learn programming. You have to learn what your programs are, and you have to energetically learn how to absolutely master energy, meaning you have to learn what true actual alchemy is, how frequencies work, how streams of consciousness flow through you, and what those streams of consciousness or streams of energy, how they impact your body, your mental field, your emotional field, how they create your personality, how they influence you to never heal or to behave a certain way or to be trapped in your anger or depression or anxiety, all of it. Like, you have to learn all the layers and how intricate all this stuff really is. And then dealing with your own programming, you have to be able to dissect your own programs and then learn energy and how to alchemize and how other frequencies are still going to come in and try to influence you and how to make sure those don't happen. And no, it's not about fucking shielding yourself in that crap. I'm talking high level education here, university level education. None of this basic shit you've already learned. It's not good enough. It'll never allow you to break free from what I'm teaching you today, how the system really works energetically. So we got to go higher. We got to learn more. You got to study harder. You have to become energetically something very different, so this stuff can't affect you anymore. And you'll never get there if you stay in your mind and you don't learn energetics and you're not a heart-centered being. You have to evolve and connect all your chakras. You learn that in university and all the classes, but you've got to get out of your mind. You can't live in your mind and mental programming anymore. You have to drop more deeply, and you have to start to discern energies and master energetics. So then you feel the energy of being trapped, and you start to identify everywhere that the program, the energetic stream of consciousness of being trapped, flows and exists as you and helps to create your realities, your life experiences. Because when you were born into the system that is a system that you born into trapped, do you understand that? You have to understand you were born into a prison system, first of all. You were born as a slave. You were. So you're trapped into this slave planet. You were born into the energy of it. Do you understand? That's part of one of the streams of consciousness that makes up, quote unquote, the matrix of what the patriarchy is, the old earth is. You understand that? If you don't understand that, the rest is going to be hard for you. So you have a degree of programming called the being trapped, quote unquote. A stream of consciousness of being trapped flows through you simply by you being born here. Now, when you understand energetics and programming, you mental program, emotional program, and then behavioral programs of being trapped flow through you, pretend to be you. It's your personality. You might not even realize that you've had this stream of consciousness until I've spoken about it and you've been listening so far. And you're like, oh my God, yep, felt trapped there, felt trapped in that job, felt trapped in that relationship. Holy shit, felt trapped in my childhood. Holy shit, trap, 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 trap. Ho ho. Yes. Let's shine the light on it, shall we? So because you're trapped, you were born here trapped. So you have that stream of consciousness and you remain that way until you move through the process of waking up for real and liberating your own level of consciousness of being trapped. The stream of consciousness of trapping and being trapped exists in you. You always have two sides of a coin of a program, whether you realize or not. This is what oneness is. Understanding these teachings is so important. You always have two sides of the coin. You may play one out or experience one way more than others. For example, you may feel trapped all the time more than you trap others. You just aren't aware of how you trap others. This is part of what waking up for real means. Okay. So you have to liberate yourself from this system and the program specifically of being trapped. To liberate yourself, you have to energetically detangle yourself and dissolve and alchemize every aspect of being trapped. This is this is the biggest key to dismantling old Earth's matrices. If you can get to the level that I can speak about here in this podcast, I can't teach you precisely how to do it in just fucking podcast. Hope you understand that. But you can work on it as much as possible on your own, and I at least give you enough that you can try, right? From the podcast alone. So you really understand, to become a new type of human, to evolve into a new type of human, you've got to get rid of this trapped program, being trapped, entrapment. All right. So seeing your programs as the way of truth, becoming the vibrational frequency of the way of presence, because the way of presence is you're energetically detaching from all programming. You're also the receiver. It's part of the way of presence. Detached observer and receiver of experiences, wisdom, life realities, abundant, whatever it is to receive. When you become these frequencies, you are now starting to shift and have the power to alchemize and dismantle any and all programs of being trapped, the experiences of being trapped. I can't leave my job because I don't have the money, and that's my source of income. One example. Okay. And it might be it might be a terrible decision. Just quit and see what happens. Don't do that necessarily. Y'all don't understand that. It's not a matter of just quitting, and you might have done the worst thing you could do. If you're still getting a stream of income, you might still need to stay at that job even when you feel trapped. So it's not black and white like people like to say. It just isn't. And some people, all you're doing is just face the fear, alchemize the fear, and fucking quit. Next thing is around the corner within a fucking week. You have nothing to worry about. And other people, worst thing you can do, you wouldn't get another job that could cover your financial situation for 2 more years. And there's a million reasons why. All right. So it's not quite black and white the way people like to tell you and want you to pay for their stuff to manifest crap. Listen, you got to get out of that. That's part of the old earth. It just is, unfortunately. Okay. So understand it's not that simple. So the more you elevate to become the universal ways of oneness, you're now starting to separate those programs, see them for what they are so you can alchemize them, transform them, and they're no longer a part of you, your energetic system, your essence, which means they're no longer creating your reality and your life experiences. That creates space, divine spaciousness, divine power vibrationally, because you're higher vibration, in order to change your life circumstances. Okay. And then something will just, something can just pop in like that. Or it takes time and it still needs 6, 8, 9 months, 18 months, whatever. But the perfect things are coming in when you're the right vibrational frequency. So it's important to understand that that's one way to start to not be so trapped. And I know I'm being a little bit vague on that. Stay with me. I'm being vague on that for a reason. I don't want you to think there's a, oh, if I just do step A, step B, I'm not trapped in the matrix anymore. Because it's no. Anybody leading you in other ways, I'm not judging them. It's never a put down. It's just they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So you're going to still feel trapped and be trapped in certain areas of your life and unable to get out. But this is why. Stay with me. This is why. You're going to understand better. Hang in there. So, because this program of enslavement, we were literally born into the energy of being trapped. So you carry a program, and everybody's is going to be different of being trapped. So if you were born into a family, then you were born into a global system, energetically, a global system of enslavement of being trapped. You now have that in your energy frequencies because you have no choice. That's what you were born into. Now, some of you have programs of you were abused as a child, you were trapped, couldn't get out, molested, raped, things like that, humiliated. When you go through these experiences, you go through these traumas and you're trapped and you can't get away from the fear. You can't get away from the danger. There's a threat of danger, molestation, violence, beatings, mental, psychological abuse, whatever your bullying, whatever your experiences were when you were young, that creates more frequencies, more programs connected to that original program of being trapped because you can't get out. You can't break free. You're not being rescued. You're not being saved. There's no savior. Do you understand? So you're building and building and adding more traumas, more energies, more experiences to reinforce the program of being trapped. Do y'all understand this? All right. So all of those examples of being trapped, you then are creating from the streams of consciousness flowing through you. This is how all programs worked. We're focusing on being trapped today. All programs are energetic streams of consciousness that then, because that stream of consciousness is flowing through you, that then creates more life experiences for you to reinforce and see the program of being trapped that flow through you. All programs. This is all programs. Today we're talking about being trapped. Okay. So being trapped now, because this is energy never dies, being trapped now flows through you for the rest of your life, unless and until you wake up for real, do the real work. Everybody at MSU, we always say that, the real work. This is energetics at the deepest level. So until you do the real work and learn and start to really get high level in your education and your mastery of working with energetics, you're trapped. That program flows through you for the rest of your life, like all programs, until you energetically transform those streams of consciousness that they are not creating your reality because they no longer flow through you. All right. So this frequency, this stream of consciousness of being trapped, it exists and flows through you. You will create ongoing experiences of feeling trapped, and you will also create energies to trap others. Remember, I mentioned earlier, oneness consciousness teachings. The program of being trapped, there's always two sides of that coin: being trapped and trapping others or entrapping someone. You will do both. Okay. So you're born into this earthly dimension of prison planet, and you're given, in addition to that, the versions and the variations of being trapped from your family dynamics. This is human relations, human dynamics, energetics at a higher level. Courses on this stuff, classes, high level classes offered at MSU. You can't get that in your first 2 years at university. So being oppressed, being trapped, for example, you'll be born into a family where, okay, if it's it could be same sex, because heterosexual or same sex couples, it's going to be experienced slightly differently. In a heterosexual family, you're born into a heterosexual couple, mom and dad, and the mom has experienced oppression and enslavement to varying degrees because she's a woman on this fucking prison planet of misogyny, because that's what patriarchy is. So she's going to have all of her oppression programs of being trapped in a marriage, not able to get out, depending on when she was born, not able to get a job, wasn't even allowed to work. You know, like, do you understand how recently women have been allowed to have a job? They were trapped at home to be baby incubators and pop out kids. So guess what? You're born into a family where all that oppression from mom being trapped, you're born into a prison planet, and then you get all of her trauma, her wounds, her programming, her unhealed stuff, because she's been trapped in whatever ways, whatever level of misogyny and horrific things happen to her. She's giving that to you energetically. Now, dad, same thing. And if he had traumas where he was trapped or he was abused in whatever ways, same exact thing. He's giving all of that to you energetically. There's no such thing as not consenting to the energies around you. I'm going to get to that in a minute. You consent to it. Even when you don't consent to it and you have no idea you're doing it, you're consenting energetically. Again, hold on, I'll get there. So you consented to it, first of all, as a child, because you were born into that family. Now, does dad abuse mom in some way? Does he expect her to do all of the labor at home for free and not earn money and not deserve? He's trapping her. So he is now trapping others. So you now as a child are getting those programs energetically inside of you as well. Do you get it? So he may have programs of being abused and feeling trapped. Okay. He also is the one doing the trapping because it's patriarchy and he's a man. So you're going to have that part too. You're going to do both. Okay. So the woman, the mom, is going to have all the oppression programs of being trapped and being forced upon and enslaved in whatever ways. She may end up being an abusive mom to children, possibly, and trapping them because she's carrying it forward. Do you understand how all this works? How the dynamics of human relations really works energetically? Okay. So you add to that having a child who has a traumatic experience. Say at 5 years old, 7 years old, they have a traumatic experience and maybe they were really humiliated. Maybe they were molested. Maybe they had the terrible, horrific experience and it wasn't even their own parent. It wasn't dad. It was someone else. And if you add this relationship of feeling trapped, fight, flight, or freeze, now breathe and drop in and try to feel this. Fight, flight, or freeze, you're frozen. There's no escape. You can't get out. You're forced to experience this humiliation, this ridicule. You feel trapped. You're bullied at school, or there's a molestation situation. You're being violated. And you're forced to experience it. You're frozen. You're totally frozen in fear. You're trapped and you can't get out. So as you grow, you create a reality, because this is how energy works. You then create a reality of entrapment for yourself over and over, as well as entrapping others. So you trap yourself in scenarios you can't get out of, as well as trapping others. So you might then grow up and actually do something terrible and go to prison for it. Well, if you're in prison, aren't you trapped? You're trapped in a cell. Your outward reality is going to show you that you run programs of being trapped. There's not more blatant one than that. So I gave examples earlier of anytime you felt trapped, neighborhood you grew up in. What if you grew up in a terrible neighborhood? Maybe there were gangs, violence, right? Poverty, scarcity everywhere. You're trapped, can't get out. You can't make ends meet. You can't get out to improve your situation. You can't get out and get away from the violence. And maybe you get caught up in the violence, and maybe the only thing you can do, you think, is to join a gang as well, or, whatever. And when you do that, you're feeding the system of enslavement, because you're trapping others and you're trapping yourself. You've been trapped, and now you learn how to trap others by pulling them into this system. You're perpetuating a system you claim to hate. You're perpetuating. People are often perpetuating the system that they claim to hate. systems of inequality, that they are literally contributing to trapping people and themselves in that very system that they claim to want to break free from. So the matrix is made up of misogyny, racism, inequality in all levels. And we don't know enough of, we don't have the wisdom and the education of energetics to master this stuff in order to actually break free. We think that just protesting is gonna break us free. That's not how this works. You have to learn energy to break free from all this shit. You have to master energy. It means you have to start with your own, master yourself. So you have to realize how you contribute to trapping yourself in scenarios and relationships and situations and experiences that are terrible, because you're not doing it on purpose. I mean, some people are. Okay, fuck them. They'll never get out of old earth. We're not talking about them. Most people don't realize, you don't realize you're doing this. You don't have the education. You don't have a high enough level of consciousness just yet, right? So you're trapping others and you're trapping yourself. So you'll do things like get yourself arrested. You'll do, and there's your trap there. Hello. Your life is showing you, mirroring to you how trapped you are when you go to prison. So that goes back to, like, maybe you were in a gang, or you know people in a terrible neighborhood, they're trapped in that, they can't get out. Well, how is life showing them, mirroring to you that you run programs of being trapped? Well, if you're in prison, that's a big clue. Okay, so let's say, well, that's not me. I mean, I've never been arrested. I don't go to prison. I'm never going to do anything, get myself arrested or whatever. What about being in a relationship and not working, refusing to get a job, losing your job? Well, that's not my fault. It's not about blame, people. It isn't about that. But if you lose your job and you lose, or you get fired, or maybe you flipped out and you did some stupid shit and you got yourself fired. Do you want to know why you did that? Because you run a program of being trapped. So guess what that means? You're trapping yourself in scarcity. If you have a family that you're supposed to help provide for, hello, like most families need 2 incomes nowadays. So if you lose your job and you can't afford to help the family, and you're not providing, man or woman, has nothing, man or woman, provide for your goddamn family, right? And if you lose your job, whether it was your fault or not, whether you were shit-faced or not, understand how energetics work. If you have a program of being trapped, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to keep that job, stay trapped in that job. You might get fired. Now, what are you trapped in? Scarcity, poverty, fear, because you can't pay your mortgage or your rent or something. The other thing that you're doing, if you're in a partnership, a marriage, you're trapping the other person, your spouse, husband or wife. You're trapping them in scarcity because now there's only one income. You're trapping them in the relationship. You are now the burden and the vampire sucking the life force energy out of this person who has to be the only one provider for the family financially. Do you see how intricate this actually gets? So there's so many levels of trapping ourselves, each other. I'm trapping you, you're trapping me. So, boy, in our sexist, misogynistic piece of shit old earth society, we love to blame women for everything, even though men, yeah, more often than not, because that's what patriarchy has brainwashed you to be, not the highest level. So you're the ones that get women pregnant. There should not be, your brain should not have just broken as I said that. Like, women don't get pregnant just by having sex. Women don't get themselves pregnant. You have to ejaculate inside of her. You're the one responsible for getting her pregnant. Don't do that. She can't get pregnant. Hello, it's not rocket science. Let's get a fucking clue. Turn the light bulb on up there. You are trapping her by getting her pregnant. The old earth, misogyny, patriarchy, taking away women's rights more and more, trapping them into being pregnant, becoming pregnant, not allowing rapists to run around and do whatever the fuck they want with women and children's bodies, getting children, little girls pregnant, women pregnant, and then not allowing women to have life-saving medical procedures and allowing them to die or get close to death because they're not, that's entrapment. They're trapping women in the system of enslavement more and more. See how many levels there are to this? Okay. So, all of this energetically, you have to understand how we trap ourselves, how energetic consent works. The second you choose to be in relationship with somebody, a friendship, and you start to get to know somebody, a business partnership, you join an organization, you get a new job, you're in a romantic relationship, you start dating somebody, what you've just done energetically, this is everybody in the whole world 100% of the time. You are consenting to that person's programs, wounds, streams of consciousness that you could never possibly know. That's not how this works. You could never possibly know all of the streams of consciousness, all of the wounds, all of the programming that that person has inside of them the first second you meet them. It isn't possible to know all of it about a person ahead of time. It's not possible. It reveals itself over time. And this is part of the trap. It's part of the bigger matrix, teaching people to trap themselves by having sex immediately and making that so important instead of getting to know one another and getting to know the real person. Okay. So, and especially then if it's a heterosexual couple, because if you're getting pregnant and if men are impregnating women, you're trapping them. And then you project onto them that they've trapped you because how did they get pregnant? No, you got them pregnant, you fucking assholes. Let's take responsibility as the way of responsibility. You got them pregnant. They didn't get pregnant. You did that. You're trapping them. And then you whine and cry, she's going to want money from me. You created it. It's your responsibility financially to take care of, guess what? Both of them. Both. You did it to her. Now, homosexual couples, same-sex couples, they don't get each other pregnant. So they don't have to worry about that part. Women don't get each other pregnant if it's two women together. Two men don't get each other pregnant. So it's not the same. Okay. So in this case, as this example, this is just another layer upon another layer upon another layer of the brainwashing of how we trap ourselves in scenarios. And then the financial burden for her and for him, like you're trapping yourselves, and then you're having a child that you're dumping all of these energetic frequencies of being trapped onto them before they're even born. The biggest program, I think, that anybody runs in existence across this planet that I've discovered so far at the deepest level is being trapped. And it plays out in thousands of different energetic variations of being trapped and then trapping others. And then you feel trapped, but you're the one that trapped her. Like this is what's so fascinating about it. Everybody feels trapped. Now she feels trapped because she's pregnant and has a kid. And now she's fucking tied to you and stuck with you. Right? All of the ways that we relate to one another that are not loving, that are less than divine, that are not harmlessness and gentleness, that are not the ways of integrity, the way of loyalty, the way of unconditional love, the way of harmony, like all of the ways that we lack our interactions. And it can be boiled down. The deeper you go in people's programming, their psychological program, their mental programming, emotional programming, inner child wounds, all their behavioral programming. And it always leads down to feeling trapped. I can't get out. Think about this. But I don't know what to do. She's my mom. But she's a narcissist, but you feel obligated. That's an entrapped program. That's a program of being trapped. I'm trapped in but I'm her son, but I'm her daughter. So you're trapping yourself in that relationship. Most people in their authentic, if you're waking up for real, come on, hardly anybody would not already have this experience listening to me right now. Almost all of you have had this experience already of friends that you quote unquote quote outgrew, meaning you're waking up for real and they might be quote unquote, spiritual, but they say things like, well, I'm a little more based in science. No, you're based in the fucktard brainwash bullshit patriarchy of unconsciousness. You're entrapped in a slave planet. You're still a fucking puppet because you're a slave. That's what you are. That's an old earther. You're not waking up for real. And that's never a judgment, but that's the damn truth as the way of truth. So no, it's that codependency. That's a entrapment program. Enmeshment, being trapped. So when you have friends or partners that are like, meet my needs, I'm worried about you waking up and becoming so divinely powerful. Of course, that's not how they say it. I think you're in a cult, bullshit is what they try to say, because you're healing and elevating and powerful, and you're not trapped in the codependency with them anymore. Whew. That hit home for some of you. Because you're not codependent anymore. You've connected to your divine power. You're elevating, you're healing, you're raising your level of consciousness. You're seeing the old earth for what it is. You're elevating your relationships. You're becoming more powerful all the time. You're not running your programs. You're taking responsibility for them. You're becoming divinely independent and divinely more powerful in your waking up process, because you're doing the real, actual, hard fucking work that's painful and challenging. And yet when you come out the other side, you are like, I have done the best thing I've ever done in my life for me. I'll never stop now. And other people can't relate to that because they want the codependency and the enmeshment. Let's do it together and let's coddle each other. Listen to me, validate me, hear me. They're running programs of being trapped, and they're trying to trap you. They don't want you to leave that program. And that is micro and macro. Patriarchy doesn't want you to leave the system of patriarchy. They can't. They need you to be slaves so they can stay as billionaires and suck the life force energy out of everybody. And your friends and your family members need you to stay trapped with them in order for them to function as old earthers. But you, if you're here to create a new earth and you're here to be a part of new earth, it means you have to help create a new earth, which means you have to rise up and rise out of being trapped and out of trapping other people. I don't think this relationship's going to work. Then leave. Goodbye. Do the fucking work for real or get the fuck out. Goodbye. If this isn't going to work, it's not going to work. Bye. I don't run a program of being trapped. Get out. Say goodbye. Leave. Move on. I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's spouse. I don't care if it's parent. I don't care if it's sibling. I don't care if it's a friend of 30 fucking years. What does that have to do with anything other than absolutely fucking nothing? It is a mental program, is an emotional wound. You lack power. You need to create a connection as the way of connection to your soul. Process and move through your grief, because I never said it wasn't fucking painful. It's painful. And yet, moving through your grief is one of the most powerful ways to activate the deepest levels of transformation and elevate you to higher levels of consciousness. So if that's what you need to do to not be trapped anymore, then do it. Those programs of being trapped, we were born into them. Everybody runs them until they don't. Do you understand? Everybody runs them and creates them and traps other people, or is also being trapped by situations, scenarios, life experiences, people, because this is in here. When two people are entangled, the second you consent to a relationship, a new friendship, somebody you start hanging out with, romantic or otherwise, it doesn't matter. This is why the law of attraction, put it in the toilet, take a big crap on it, and flush it. Say goodbye. Because here's the truth. Law of attraction, that's entrapment. All those goddamn teachings. And they always will give, that was a plant. They will always give you some degree of truth because that helps to trap you. It's part of the brainwashing. So if everybody's writing down in their fucking manifestation goddamn journal, I'm going to manifest this, I'm going to manifest that, instead of learning energy for real. This isn't about what you just attract in your life. That is so preschool, and it is a compliment to call it preschool. It's not even preschool, it's toddlerhood. Less than, before you can make it to preschool, is the goddamn law of attraction. So you need to elevate out of it, get rid of it, stop. Because energetics are much more dynamic and complicated and intricate than that. Our human dynamic, human relations is way more intricate than that. So consenting, you are energetically consenting to everybody's wounds and programs. You didn't just attract that. That is, it's absolute bullshit. It's not about that. It goes deeper than that. It means you're energetically consenting to this when you connect to it and give your focused attention and your life force energy. You didn't attract that. Listen, empaths don't quote unquote attract narcissists. Narcissists hunt them down for a reason. The law of attraction is way too simple for that. You don't have to be a broken, unhealed empath. Well, but because you have so many wounds, and that's why you attracted the narcissist. No, it fucking isn't. It goes way deeper than that. Narcissists are created, psychopaths, sociopaths, they are created by patriarchy. That system of enslavement creates them so that it can do the hunting and the entrapment for them. You know why? Empaths are leaders of the new earth. Empaths are here to create the frequencies of a new earth. Empaths do that. All types of empaths are creating new frequencies of a new earth to create a new earth. They can't be created by anybody else. They're created by empaths. Those are the leaders of the new earth because they have the heart-centeredness. They have the way of harmlessness and gentleness, which is so desperately needed. And it is the new earth. It's not old earth. New earth is not being created by your fucking mind, by your mental programs, by your ego. It doesn't exist. They're enlightened frequencies creating new earth. So you're not just there. Sorry, the ignorance, but people need to wake up for real. Look at what's happening on the planet. It's going to get more and more intense. There's no guarantee that a new earth is going to be like, you have to create it, people, which means you yourself have to become it. And that is warrior's work. That is not a pretty path. It is a very challenging path because look around. With all the raping and the violence and the wars and the sex trafficking and the human trafficking and all the horrific things and all the satanic ritualistic abuse that exists from religions and churches and governments and political people all over the world. I mean, come on. Have you woken up for real? And the way out of the trap of that prison planet to create a new earth doesn't just exist and you shift to it. Oh, look, I'm already 5D. You're a fucking old earther. Sorry, but not sorry. It's not how this works. You have to elevate and become, and you have to be willing to become a new type of human. And that is not that is a warrior's path. It takes a tremendous amount of work and effort to break free from a system that has operated for centuries upon centuries upon centuries that have all the wisdom of energetics that you don't yet have. Let that sink in. So you have to play catch up and you have to do it yourself and you have to master this for your own individual self, for your own individual life, your relationships. And then that echoes out into the world to help create those frequencies for everybody else. It echoes out into your relationships. It echoes out into your businesses, whatever that is that you want to create on this planet. It echoes out into your clients if you have them, or your patients if you have them. It echoes out into the communities you are creating. You have to be a more evolved human who's mastered energetics. If you don't have that wisdom, only thing you're doing is creating a different variation of old earth. That's not a new earth. Okay. When one person is healing and they are elevating their level of consciousness and they are evolving, but another one isn't, this goes back to the friend or the spouse or the partner or the family member, whatever, this creates an energetic discord. So this tension, it creates more tension and tension and tension because the octaves are getting farther and farther apart. And most people are entangled within 3 octaves, energetic octaves of each other. Once you start getting farther away, the tension gets really extreme. That's why relationships end and fall apart. It makes it harder when you're doing that. It makes it harder. This anchoring person who refuses to heal and elevate for real and do the real work makes it harder for this person to elevate because it's anchoring them down. But simultaneously, this activates this more elevated person, activates and brings to the surface all of the programming that goes against the healing and elevated in this lower person, this lower vibrational person. Because everything energetically must always be in balance, which means 3 octaves within each other. So things automatically have to go back to a balanced state. That's how energy works. Balance doesn't mean healthy or divine. It means we're within 3 octaves of each other. So once they're farther away from each other, family member, a parent, kids are waking up, parents are not, spouse, anybody, friends, that energetic strain is the tension keeps growing and then one side must give. So the higher frequencies either have to lower or the lower frequencies must rise higher to match. If that doesn't occur, then there's a pressure cooker and eventually there's going to be an explosion. That's the breakup. That's the friendship ending. That's whatever. Somebody gets fired in that moment. You're fired to get out. I'm tired of you. You fucking crazy. You're ruining my business. Get out. That's when people of lower vibrational frequencies explode. Car, raging out when they're road rage, but raging out when they're driving, all of a sudden they just explode and they get this massive road rage thing. Like the all of those things that happen can all go back to like this program of feeling trapped. And what you need to understand about energetics is when you meet a person, no matter who they are, what kind of relationship it is, you've already energetically chosen to consent to their wounds, their programs, which means you co-create reality and experiences based on their wounding and their programming. That affects my life. My programming affects your life. So if I have no wounds and no shadow self left, you benefit because what you're getting is the way of purity. What you're getting are higher vibrational frequencies. That's what you're receiving. Your reality is co-created with me. I'm co-creating your reality. You've consented to that because you're in relationship with me. Do you understand? That's why this whole give shit away for free bullshit, you don't understand energetics. Because part of you healing, when you have an expectation and you're so fucking entitled, you think you should get it for free, that doesn't work with an elevated being. And now many of you just misunderstood what I said. It doesn't mean you never give shit away for free. I give stuff away for free all the fucking time. You don't pay for this podcast. I give healings away for free, coaching away for free. Like I have given an ungodly amount of money that I could have earned over the, you wouldn't believe me how much I've given away for free. But it is the right scenario energetically. When a person is coming from entitlement and a shit ton of other programs, and especially when they have a trap program very strongly running, they want to entrap you. No, you pay for my services because then there's no trap. So the programs of trapping somebody run very deep. And a lot of times you're running the program of entrapment, of being trapped, and you're projecting that. You want someone to set you free, which is why you expect them to heal you for free. You're running a program of entrapment. You feel trapped. You want some savior, give you everything for free. And then what you're doing is you're projecting your trap program, being trapped onto them, burdening them, making them give more, earn less, give more of their energy, give everything away for free, giving away their time so they can't have a paid client or whatever it might be. You're trapping them. And you feel so strongly that they should give it away for free because you're fucking entrapped. You trap yourselves and you trap others. You feel trapped in your life. So you're trying to trap somebody else, which is why I should give it away for free. Fuck off. Wake up to what's really going on energetically. This is why there's a whole university called Masters of Self University to teach you this step by step to break free from it all. Right? You understand? At least to some degree, how deeply this being trapped program goes. And another way that all these programs stay hidden and keep you in the I'm trapped or being trapped or trapping others is that you have a lot of programs in your blind spot. So part of it being a stigma in the past to like get help and heal and elevate and work on yourself and go to therapy and go to counseling and go to the people, you know, that can help you elevate. Why do you think that was brainwashed into society that that's a stigma? You shouldn't do that's embarrassing. What are you talking about? That's part of keeping you trapped. Part of keeping somebody trapped in a relationship is refusing to get couples counseling. Now, old traditional talk therapy doesn't work. It doesn't heal anything. You're not going to get anything out of that. Do the real work, and you got to, you know, immerse yourself in energetics of all of this stuff. So go find people who can help you do that. And of course, we do it here at MSU, but go find the people. It doesn't have to be us. Just go fucking do the work. Like, go find the real people who can help you for real. And if and when they exist and they come into your experience, take advantage of that. Invest in them. Do you understand? Because it's the only way to get yourself out of this hamster wheel of being trapped. And that's the way of truth. Self-reflection, increasing your level of acute level of self-awareness is really critical. And you have to see where you run the programs that you run, where wounds are there in addition. So if you were violated and you were really harmed ever in your life, it doesn't have to be as a child. It could have been as an adult. But as a child, it's more often than not you experience things in your childhood and then they're in your blind spot. And all these things are running in the background in your subconscious, right? And we don't understand them enough because we don't have enough of this education. So all these things are running in your blind spot. You have all these programs, all these unhealed wounds in there. And it is your responsibility as the way of responsibility to really see what's in there because it's the only way to not be trapped anymore and to not trap other people. We consent to other people's wounds and programs the second we're in relationship with them. Any relationship. And so if I see what you're revealing to me over time, and I'm like, ooh, no, you're showing me how you're showing up in this world, and I don't like it because it isn't divine and it lacks oneness. That's not saying I don't like it because of my ego. Get your fucking ego out of here. It isn't divine. You lack oneness. You're showing up as a shadow self. You're showing up with your trap programs, your scarcity programs, and trying to trap me in it. Then you're done. Bye. I don't consent to that. Energetically, I no longer consent to that. So get your shit together or get gone. I will have no problem saying goodbye to you because I don't consent to creating that reality with you. And that's how powerful you need to be to create a new earth. When you're ready to elevate higher and no longer function as this, then you can come here on a new earth and you can start creating higher frequencies and you can start seeing all the ways that you trap because the new earth doesn't trap people. It's liberating. It sets people free. New earth is liberation. New earth is free from enslavement. You will never, ever, 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 ever be free from being a slave as an old earther if you do not learn energetics at this level. You will never be capable of energetically liberating yourself or anyone else for real at all. You have to see where you trap other people, entangle with them, and where you are being trapped because you are entangling energetically with people as soon as you consent to hanging out with them and being in relationship and doing business with them. That's why business partnerships, something might seem really amazing and a really great opportunity. It doesn't mean it wasn't. But when you start seeing programs being revealed from another person or people or group or whatever, and it's like, oh, whoa, yeah. So, yeah, I'm not doing that because that's old earth way of doing business. That's old earth way of running an organization, for example. I'm not doing that. So you had a lot of potential. This was great. You're not here anymore. Or I'm leaving this. Or I'm going to end this partnership. Do you understand? Because if you continue, there is choice, but there is no choice. You've already energetically consented to creating that reality with that person. That means their wounds program, whatever they're creating in their life and all the shit that comes with it, you have no choice but to go through that with them because you've energetically consented to that. That's how energetics works. So if I give my focused attention to you in this dating, marriage, friendship, business partnership, etc., then I'm consenting to all the things that come with that, which means all the programs you run are also going to be my life experiences. Does that make sense to you? And vice versa, of course, always vice versa, right? I had a business opportunity years ago. Yeah, I was paid speaker for a person, and he wanted to discuss. He already mentioned other opportunities and bringing me in. Very successful. He had a very successful business, and bringing me in and making me a little bit of a part of it, kind of as a consultant, just to give you sort of an idea. And it seemed like a really great opportunity. And I'm like, I'm going to explore this. Absolutely. And as I did, there was a meeting after I did a live event, after I did a speaking event that he paid me for. And he's like, let's go to my office and discuss some things. And he was energetically very inappropriate. His energy changed. It became a sexual type of energy. The way he was sitting on his sofa, like I was on a sofa and he was on a sofa, and we started to talk about business. And I went straight to business. And then he just leaned down and kind of had this posture. He was like half laying on the couch. And I was like, are you fucking serious right now? Really? And it was one of those, I don't have to give details, just to give you the gist of it. It was one of those experiences as a woman that you're in, and here's this person going to pay you, and he has this power, and I'm like, get the fuck. And he was a married man with kids, like on top of it. And he knew that I was. I mean, it was just, the whole thing was just like fucking old earth bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. I don't consent to that. So after that, it was, and then, you find out he's fucking cheating on his wife, of course. Oh, big surprise there. Um, but that scenario was I was consenting energetically. I didn't know anything like that about him. I had no clue. He was a stranger. I had no idea. He had a very successful business. I was open to exploring it. So I consented energetically to whatever it was that he is. Does that make sense? I don't know what he is. I was paid for a speaking event. Okay. I was there was discussions about being put on a project and being a part of, in a much bigger way, something that he had going on. So anyway, I energetically consented to a degree. And now here's where we step into our power as the way of truth, as the way of wisdom, as the way of integrity, harmlessness and gentleness for myself, but integrity for me and what I consent to being a part of. I would have made a lot of fucking money from that continuing. And I said no. When I saw what he was starting to do and how he was starting to shift his behavior towards me, and what he was, and as that was getting revealed, he was revealing that a little bit to me. That is a moment of, oh, I see this. Great. So I could choose to ignore it, meaning consent to this shit and make a lot of money, or I can actually function as the way of integrity because I walk my fucking talk. So once I started to see what this really was, meaning what he really was and how he really functioned in the world, then I was absolutely no longer going to do business with him. And I didn't. I was done. That's it. Fuck off. I don't care the money. Do you understand? And you'll never, ever, ever, ever regret. I don't care how much money is offered to you. What you consent to your soul is priceless. There is always a fucking cost if you sacrifice your soul because of what a materialistic, temporary, tangible human experience, quote unquote, opportunity might be for you. You don't sacrifice your soul. And yet look at Hollywood. Look at all these people in the world that run the world. That's all they ever ask you to do. And people do it. You know why they say yes to those things in the moment? Because they're trapped. They feel trapped. And they feel like that's the only way out. So if I just do this one thing, how bad could it be? If I just, okay, I'm going to get everything I want, or I'm going to get this opportunity. This one might make me millions, set me free. Oh my God. So the trap has already been set before you come here. And energetically, it is your job as a warrior to learn how to set yourself free from no longer being trapped and not falling into that victim consciousness bullshit, but also no longer trapping other people where you don't see that you've trapped other people in enmeshment and codependency. All that shit is trapping other people. You are running the program of being trapped, which means you also trap others. Until you wake up enough and say, oh, I understand how energetic consent actually works. I'm consenting automatically by giving my focused attention to this other person. I don't know what I'm consenting to. What I am consenting to is all the things that they are. All the things that they are, I am automatically energetically consenting to. That's how energy works. That's how all the millions of matrices work around here. We're nothing but energy. So waking up for real is understanding that and energetically knowing how to navigate through that. Seeing in truth, oh, wait a minute, I see things here. And it isn't your projection. That's why healing fucking comes first every time. That's why in our coursework at Masters of Self University, healing comes first. You have to see this within yourself. No more projecting. Because a lot of times we feel like such a fucking victim. We run our victim consciousness shit. And that victim consciousness bullshit traps other people. We don't realize we're trapping other people in our shit when we're enmeshed, when we're weak, when we're powerless, when we desperately need to be in a relationship. You're trapping somebody into your shit. You're trapping others. And you're doing it because you've been born into a system that trapped you. And the world is a mirror. So how do you trap? How do you feel trapped? Is a program that you need to wake up to. And you need to start to record and keep tally of all of the programs related to being trapped, whether you're trapping someone else or you feel trapped in a job, in a marriage, in a scenario, in a neighborhood, in a whatever. Where do you feel trapped and where do you trap others in your shit? That can be a painful question to answer. And yet, as you start to really break that down, are you trapped in depression? Are you trapped in anxiety? Are you trapped in your illnesses? Are you trapped in your victim consciousness? Where are you trapped? And it isn't a question coming from shadow, ego, victim consciousness crap. Oh, I'm so... stop the powerlessness bullshit. Where do you run those programs and where do you consent to running programs of quote unquote being trapped, of entrapment? How do you project that onto others? How do you play that out in your life? How have you experienced that and never realized it until now? Start to write those things down. Seriously, write them down, make a list, journal about it if you're somebody who likes to journal. If you don't like to journal, that's totally fine, but make a list of where you felt trapped and also where you've trapped others and didn't realize it. And it doesn't mean you've trapped others on purpose. It doesn't mean you had to have the intention of trapping. Some of you do. You do it on purpose. You trap people. There's your insecurities. There's your, I don't want to let this person go. There's your, don't leave me. There's your, okay, but those are also related to the deeper program of the trapped program itself that you were born into. Everyone runs a program of being trapped until you don't. And here's your invitation to wake up to that for real. And here's your invitation to start to heal that. Right? Student enrollment. Enroll as a university student at Masters of Self University. Go check us out. You'll take all these classes. All of this education will be given to you at university level, the highest level possible to master energetics and master yourself. That's why we're here, because these are the vibrational frequencies of a new earth. The universal ways of oneness are the vibrational frequencies of a new earth. If you don't vibrate as them, you're not vibrating as a new earth. You have to understand that part. And that's what this university is for. It is to give you the resources and the tools and the education and the support and the step-by-step instruction and course correction along the way in order for you to master this for real. Because nobody needs to come here and be trapped. We all deserve liberation. Liberation only occurs when we liberate ourselves. We are our own saviors. We set ourselves free energetically from all this shit. And when that happens, when you can master that for real, then the old earth and the old system crumbles and falls. It cannot exist. When you realize how energetically to set yourself free on every level, it isn't one choice, it isn't one decision, it isn't one moment. It is another moment and another moment and another moment. Energetically, you have to evolve enough to set yourself free and no longer be a part of all the thousands of ways that you've been trapped and tricked into consenting to hold that old system of patriarchy, of enslavement, of that prison planet in place. It is up to you to become a new vibrational human that does not trap themselves, trap others, or allow themselves to be trapped energetically ever again. You have to free yourself from being a slave. No one else is going to set you free but you. We just teach you how to do it at Masters of Self University. We teach you how to master it. You have to master the self. So find out where your trapped programs are. Where are they hiding? Where do they show themselves to you? Where in the world is life mimicking and mirroring to you that you run these goddamn programs? In life, in love, financially, wherever. Where do you run programs of being trapped? Where you don't have the power, the freedom, the liberation to make your own decisions, move forward, do whatever the hell you want to do in life. Where do you run the trapped programs? Start to keep track of them, write them down. Seeing, of course, is the first step. That doesn't mean you'll immediately be liberated from them, but it is at least something you can do on your own by yourself for the most part. Okay? So work on that. Go to mastersofselfuniversity.com. Sign up for our student enrollment meetings. Sign up. They're free. Come learn more about how you can enroll in university, because this is all the things that we teach you. And we teach you in a way where you can learn how to master it step by step, one semester at a time. Okay? So I hope to see you in school. I hope to see you in summer semester or whenever you see this. When you realize this is the kind of education you're ready for to work at that quantum level, let's get rid of being trapped. You have it in you. You are a divinely powerful being. You just have to gain the skills and the wisdom as the way of wisdom. That's what we offer to you at MSU. So I'll see you in class. Sign up today. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one.